everybody, welcome back to Out of Left Field. I'm Abby Alonzo. I am in a different studio today. Yes, I built a second one. That's insane. If you know anything about my journey, you know that I just built one at DJ LeMahieu's facility. Yet here I am at home because you got to switch it up every once in a while. But I am so excited to tell y'all that we have Sami Williams on the show today. We're going to get into what you're doing on the field and what you're doing off the field because it's pretty unique. But before we go that route, I want you to introduce yourself without softball.
Okay. I'm Sami Williams. I grew up in Southern California. I have 3 brothers. I went to Iowa State University, studied software engineering there, and got a master's in information systems. And then now I work for the Cubs as a senior software engineer. I love food and eating at restaurants. I feel like foodie is I'm scared to call myself one, but love trying new restaurants and going out to eat, being active, Chicago, summer, lakefront, all that. So that's me.
Okay, we're going to go into it right off the bat because my brain is like, tell me more. What information, please explain how that route was chosen. Like, what kind of drew you to that while you were still playing softball?
Yeah, I love it. I love talking about this. So, in high school, I was always really interested in math. It was always my favorite subject, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do with math in college. So I went in undecided. I had 2 teammates who were, I think, 5th years or at least upperclassmen, who recommended I try coding classes. I was like, all right, I'll try it. I never thought I was super tech savvy. So I was scared of trying coding. And I loved it. It's solving math problems all the time and solving puzzles. So I started doing software engineering, and when I decided to take on that as my major, I was like, it would be really cool to stay in sports. I don't know exactly what that would look like, but I started researching software roles in sports and saw that there were tons of articles about MLB teams hiring software engineers. And I was like, that sounds cool. I want to do that. So I started applying for internships with MLB teams. I didn't get any when I was in college, but when I was playing with Athletes Unlimited, we went to a White Sox game, and I was like, I'm just not ready to give up this idea of working in baseball. So that night I looked online, saw the Cubs were hiring, applied, and was interviewing while I was playing with AU in 2021 and got the job. The timing was crazy because we were in Rosemont and the role was in Chicago. So I was like, I want to keep this interview going along. I ended up getting hurt and having knee surgery during the interview process. So it was a crazy time, but the timing was incredible. And even when I got the job, I wasn't exactly sure what it would look like day to day. And it's really I've loved it so much. I've been with the Cubs now for a little over 4 years, and I've just really loved the role.
I have so many questions. First up, divine timing. The way that intertwined with Chicago, you're going to be back in Chicago. How did you manage to still do that role while you were not in Rosemont and you were with the WPF?
Yeah. So when I was interviewing with the Cubs, obviously I was playing. So, pro softball career came up in the interview process. So when they offered me, it was already being discussed that I wanted the opportunity to play if I could. So we had worked in time off for me to play in my contract. So in 22, I did not play. I tried out for Athletes Unlimited, but I didn't make it. So I didn't play in 22. And then in 23, when new teams were starting with the WPF, I started calling up teams and just training after hours during the work week leading up to the season. But then during the season, able to take that time off.
What does a day in your life look like with the Cubs?
Yeah, I would say most days it's coding, sitting down at my computer and building new features. So we have this web application that our like the baseball side of the company uses. So like coaches, scouting, like all the departments within baseball use this app that I get to work on. And it's just like building out new features, enhancing existing features. Like that's my primary role is like application development. So it's just like building cool stuff for baseball.
Wow. So obviously you have to love softball if you're playing it, right? I've had that conversation countless times with professional athletes. You got to love it if you're going to do it. But where does the love for baseball come from?
Yeah, I think it's kind of just like I mean, I don't want to speak for like all softball players, but for me it was like a very natural like interest in the game because it's so similar to softball. I have three brothers, so growing up I played 2 years of baseball, and I got to play on a team with my brother Luke during that time, and my dad like was president of the little league back then, so like family was very baseball centric.
Yeah.
My brother Luke plays still, he's in the Braves org. So I've just like grown up in a baseball family and really loved it. And when I was looking at those opportunities, I was like, I'd love to stay in baseball. It didn't have to be like MLB team. There's, obviously a lot of technology in baseball these days. So I was looking at like potential opportunities with companies that like provide technology to or like for the sport,
Right.
or
Your
on the sport.
TrackMans, your Rapsoda, all, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was kind of like looking into all of it, but really love where I ended up.
And I've had this conversation, but this is a little bit different. When you look at the support that MLB is giving the AUSL right now, you have a different vantage point because you are quite literally also employed by the MLB. But what does it mean to you to see, hey, my one employer is supporting my other employer, and like just being in the center of what's going on with women's softball?
Yeah, it's really cool to see. Like, I think, it's a very natural partnership between MLB and AUSL. And I think everyone's been really wanting to see that for years, like just pro softball and pro baseball being able to like work together in that way. So it's super exciting. And like, obviously, playing in Chicago this summer is so cool to be able to like work for one of the Chicago baseball teams, and then play for the Chicago softball team is like dream come true.
Yeah, you can't write it up any better than that. That's quite literally how you draw out a vision board. You said something earlier that I kind of want to go back to, and it's a little bit deeper. You said you were kind of afraid to try coding at first. Let's talk about that topic of being afraid of failing or being afraid of doing something you haven't done before, and how that's played a role in your life.
Yeah. Yeah, with coding, it was kind of just like so foreign. I mean, especially in high school, I was definitely more afraid to fail and like try new things. And yeah, it's just like, I don't know what this community is like. I've never tried it. Like, it seems like people who are into tech are really into tech, and like, that's not where I stand. I was kind of in that in between. But yeah, I couldn't imagine like what else I would be doing right now. Like it's such a good fit for me. So I think just trying to like remind myself about that when it comes to like trying new things and like stepping into unknown territory, especially like later in my life, I think I've gotten a lot more comfortable with that. But I always have those feelings of like, oh, this is different and unknown, but it's also exciting. Like it's cool. And I'm like grateful that I can try something new and I have this opportunity to try something new.
So when you're talking to the camera, you're also talking to a lot of young softball players. I mean, ranging from 10 to 17. If they have an opportunity in front of them that is similar to you in coding, but it might be something new or something they're unsure of, something uncomfortable. What piece of advice would you give them as they're trying to take that step into somewhere they haven't been before?
Yeah, I think when you're young, it seems like decisions you make are so final. But you have so much time in your life to like change direction. And like I could have tried my first coding class and been like, didn't like it. That's one semester of my life. And then
Right.
try something new. So I think for me, like the timing, obviously with coding and like finding that in college when I was getting this degree worked out really well. But if I wasn't interested in it, I could have just, switched directions. I think that happens a lot. Like, I'm definitely guilty of getting like analysis paralysis where I'm like, I end up not making a decision because I'm trying to make the best decision.
Yeah.
But not making a decision is sometimes worse than just like taking a leap of faith and going for it. And, you can always admit later, like, oh, I made the wrong decision there, but
Right.
I've grown from it and like life keeps moving on and I can change direction now. So I think that would be my advice is like, if you're like me and you feel like you have a hard time making decisions sometimes, just like go for it, trust it, and know that like it's probably not the end all be all decision.
I love that you pointed that out because that goes even further. I mean, we're talking about coding. A lot of the conversations I have are around sports, but that goes outside of sports too. Like, you're young enough to try things and it not be the end of the world if it doesn't work out. If you had tried coding and you didn't like it, like you said, you could just be like, all right, cool, tried it, done. Or if you tried it and you were really bad at it or you failed at your job, like, things like that happen, but you can't allow that to keep you from trying new things. You're going to live a really boring life and be very unfulfilled.
Yeah. And I mean, to go off of that too, even if you try it and it's hard, it might not be like, it could still be worth it. Like, especially with coding and like majors in college, there are tons of weed out classes like early on that are meant to be challenging. And like, I remember calling my dad. Like, I graduated with a great GPA. Like, I did good in college, but like, I called my dad after one of my midterms for a computer science class. And this was early on in my degree. And I was like, I failed that. I don't know if this is for me. Like, this might not be it. And then, I ended up getting like a 52% or something on this midterm, but the whole class is weighted at the end and it got curved up and it was fine. And like, I graduated with my degree and like love my job now. So I think, yeah, even those like failures might seem really bad in the moment, but they're probably not.
It's perspective of that minute moment of where you actually thought you were failing and the world was crashing down, ended up curving and you were totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of skipped straight over it and went straight into baseball. I'm so sorry. My brain was like, tell me more. But your softball journey has been interesting and a lot of weaving and back and forth. For somebody who is unfamiliar with what your softball career has looked like, can you give them like a summary punchline kind of thing?
Yeah. So I played at Iowa State. I was there for 5 years because I was a COVID senior and got my COVID fifth year. So stayed and did a master's there, but got drafted by Athletes Unlimited in 21 after my senior year. Played. I ended up getting hurt the second week of games, so like practice leading into the second week of games, and I had to get knee surgery pretty quickly after that, like a week. I ended up, my injury, like my leg was stuck in like 90 degrees because of it. So it was pretty sudden, but rehabbed after surgery. Like I mentioned, tried out for Athletes Unlimited in 22 but didn't make it, and then in 23 called up teams. I got connected with the Spark, formerly with the WPF, now with the AUSL, which is pretty cool, but got connected with them, played with them in 23. And then in 24, got connected with the New York Rise, and I played with them the last 2 seasons.
And now Chicago.
Yep, yeah.
Whew. Okay, you said 2 things there that I think are really important for young athletes to listen to. One, in 2022, you tried and you didn't make it. And that was a moment where you could have said, all right, softball's done. That's it. I'm closing this chapter and I'm moving on. But what you did next was call and bet on yourself. You didn't wait for an opportunity to come your way. You went out and you found it and you grinded until you got it. I think that is so important for these young athletes to hear, that not everything is going to be the storybook, college, draft, pro ball, woo. Like, it doesn't work like that all the time. Sometimes it does, but a lot of the times it doesn't. And to see someone, be in the face of failure and make the decision to bet on themselves and then eventually make it back to where they wanted to be is something that young kids need to see more of, and at least hear from somebody who went through that journey. So when in 22, when you didn't make AUS, or at that time Athletes Unlimited, what was that experience like? What were the first thoughts, and how did you get to the point where you were like, I'm not done with softball, I'm going to figure it out?
Yeah, so I was obviously sad when I
Yeah.
didn't make it. Like, I wanted to play, so that's why I tried out. But I asked for feedback and input, and worked from there. And like, after the tryout, I was just like, man, I still have the itch to play. Like, I want to keep playing. So when I heard that new teams were starting in 23, my first thought was, okay, how do I get in contact with one of these teams? Are there tryouts? Like, how do I reach out to these teams? And so then I'm reaching out to my softball connections and asking if, people have contacts that I could reach out to, and was able to get one of the coaches' contacts with the Spark. And I texted her, did a quick intro, like, here's my name, I played here, I'm interested in an opportunity with the Spark. I'd love to call, or I'd love to like talk on the phone. Because I think like cold calling is kind of hard now in this day. Like, I don't really pick up phone numbers I don't recognize. So I went with the, quick text message. But yeah, and it worked out. Like, I was, working out in the fall leading up to that, and just really hoping I could play, and just really wanted to keep playing. And then, yeah, after my season with the Spark, didn't get, invited back for another season, but I still wanted to play again, and was able to. The Spark owner actually was the one who connected me with the Rise owner. So like, she was really looking out for me too, and for, some of the athletes that still wanted to play. So I was able to, get connected with them and play with them for 2 seasons.
What was there ever a moment when you were with the Spark or the Rise where maybe I don't want to say not regret, but like, you felt like there was more? Like, did you feel like, okay, I'm where I'm supposed to be? Did you feel like I need to keep working? What was that experience like?
Yeah, I think like personally, I've wanted to improve my performance like over every year. I think like everyone
Yeah.
says that, even if you had like an amazing season, you're always like, I could do better. I've definitely wanted to like keep improving. Like, I mean, I think at this point in my career, every year has kind of been like, this could be the last year. I think everyone feels that way in pro softball. Like, every year could be your last year playing. So you're trying to really like enjoy and live in the moment, and like not put too much pressure on yourself. But there's also the pressure of like, if you don't perform, like, you might not be able to play next year. But yeah, personally, I've always wanted to like keep improving. And then also I've like wanted to get back into Athletes Unlimited or AUSL now. So this year I was really adamant about like reaching out to the right people to be like, hey, this is what I want to be. I want to be a part of this. I think in years past, I was kind of like unsure of how I could break back into it. I was like, do I need to reach out to people? Are people reaching out to people in this league and calling them up? Or, but yeah, so this year I was just like, all right, I'll, take the initiative and reach out. So yeah.
You keep talking about networking, which like, I feel like my whole life I've been told just network, but like, a lot of people don't understand what that means, or there's a fear of it. And I was one person who I was afraid that I was bothering people when I was reaching out. What benefit does it bring? I mean, obviously you ended up playing professional softball again because you networked, but what is the importance, I guess, of forming relationships so that when you get to a point where you're like, hey, I need to tap into my network, you have a network to tap into?
Yeah, I think my main thing I tell people about networking is like, my best connections have come from very untraditional networking opportunities. Like, I'm not like, sometimes I'll reach out to people on LinkedIn, but most of the time that's not how I'm like creating my connections. Like, I played with Triple Crown Sports in the Canada Cup one summer, and then Dave King, the owner, calls me up and invites me to like have this internship. And that was like my first introduction into like baseball and softball data. as an internship, which then I think helped me when I was interviewing for this job with the Cubs. And then like the Tyrone Brooks, the director of the MLB and diversity and inclusion pipeline, like I was trying to get in contact with him and I couldn't message him on LinkedIn. So I DM'd him on Twitter and introduced myself over Twitter. So it's like, you just gotta find ways to like find people and be very like honest. And I think it's also, I think one thing that people talk about a lot too is like to get over that, like feeling like you're asking people for something all the time is kind of like one, making sure you're keeping a natural connection with people.
Yes.
Like if you see someone in person, like talk to them, say hi, like, hey, we connected online. It's nice to meet you in person. Or just like if they're reaching out to you, making sure that you're responding to that too. And like not having like a one-sided relationship there.
Yeah, not reaching out just when you need something, but keeping a this is business 101. I know this is a sports podcast, but y'all, these are little things that make a huge, I'm quite literally, Sami is the epitome of what it looks like to one, bet on yourself, and two, to network and how it can get you where you want to go. When you look back at your journey for the past all the way from college to now, what are you most proud of?
I think just most proud that I haven't let like a lot of the failures keep me back. It's making me a little emotional thinking about, but
yes. Come on, give it to me. That's good.
Yeah, I think it would have been easy to like quit at some point, but I just wasn't ready to give it up. So I keep trying, and like a lot of those, like putting myself out there is scary, like reaching out to people is scary, like, but it can work out. And I think not letting, that fear, or even if someone's like, no, there's no opportunity for you here, like not letting that keep you back and making sure that like I'm ready to move on because I'm ready to move on, not because I was scared and I didn't try to reach out to someone.
I appreciate you sharing. That just made me teary-eyed because as we are talking about a softball career, I'm a woman in sports. So, we're pit against each other and everybody's competing for a job. And a lot of the times it feels like, am I in the right field? Like, am I betting on myself when I shouldn't be? Like, there's been a lot of moments like that for me, but to hear your story and to hear you say that you're proud of yourself for not letting it stop you and for finding a way, like that goes so far beyond just softball. But I think a lot of female athletes, women in sports, women in male dominated fields, and people in general, like that is so real. And you were quite literally you're a real life example of what it looks like when you don't give up on yourself or don't stop because your environment says, hey, now could be a time that you could get out. So I appreciate you sharing that. I didn't mean to tear up either, but here we are. I want to talk about your family because you dropped a little nugget in there that your brother's in the Braves organization. So talk to me about the support system there, how you guys, kind of support each other.
Yeah. So my brother Luke got drafted out of high school in 2015 by the Phillies, and then made his debut with the Phillies in 2021. So 2021 was a really fun year for the Williams family.
Wow, yeah.
I was playing my last year. We made it to regionals at Iowa State for the first time in like 36 years or something, and then got to go watch Luke debut with the Phillies, and he ended up hitting a walk-off home run in his first career start, and we were losing our minds.
Yeah.
It was so fun. And then there's like a John Boy breakdown of it, so I get to like relive it every once in a while if I want to.
I'm gonna find it after this.
It's a good feel-good video for sure.
That's so cool.
But yeah, and then he has been with a few organizations since. He went Phillies to Giants to Marlins, Dodgers, and then now with the Braves, and has been back and forth between AAA and the majors for the last, kind of since then. Yeah. But yeah, we've like talked about just struggles of softball and baseball. I mean, like obviously I've had a similar career in pro ball where, it's not like I'm an all-star with a guaranteed spot every year. So we've talked a little bit about that. It is kind of funny. Sometimes we don't talk about baseball because I work for the Cubs. So I try not to like ask.
Yeah, a little conflict of interest there.
But yeah, just like talking about the mental game a lot more, I think is what we like to talk about. He's very chill and relaxed, and like was introduced to breath work with the Giants and is like really into that. So I've kind of like talked to him about that like mental state and like playing relaxed. And I know I play best relaxed, but I tend to let myself get a little frazzled at times. So just like talking about that kind of stuff. And yeah, he's played every position but catcher in the major leagues, which is kind of cool.
That is wild.
Yeah.
What's your relationship like with your parents? I mean, they have is it just you and your brother?
No, I have 3 brothers.
You do? Oh, wow. Okay. So 2 of their children are professional athletes. Like, how have they played in a role in getting you guys to this level?
Yeah, I think growing up, when you have 4 children, you put them in a lot of sports so that they're active and busy. So we all played a bunch of sports growing up, and we're very competitive and like to, compete. But I mean, I think they just really tried to ingrain in us that like you have to work hard for these things, and it's not going to be easy. You're going to have to make sacrifices, and but it'll be worthwhile if you love it. So put us in all the sports, coaches, competitive travel ball. But they're also really supportive. So like my 5th year at Iowa State, I think they came to like half of our away games and traveled a ton, followed us around. And every year in pro ball, we'll try to come watch and go watch Luke. And whenever he plays at Wrigley Field, my whole family will come, and it's really fun.
Oh, that's so awesome. Oh my God. That made me excited for you for this year. That's so great. Speaking of this year, I kind of want to tease it a little bit, but the draft moment when you were drafted by the Bandits, like what happened there? Did you know it was happening, or what was the reaction?
Yeah, I had no idea. I had like submitted my form, that I was interested in playing, and tried to put as many details as I could about my career and my resume, and just hope for the best. And I had heard that like a team had asked about me, like to my old coaches. So like I knew I was like, at least my name was being thrown around there, but I had no idea if I was going to get drafted or not. So I was so nervous. And I was just here with my boyfriend watching on the couch on TV and hoping that I would get drafted. And like they started talking, and I was like, I think they're talking about me. And see my name, and we're like, and then we just sat here on the couch. So it was really fun. But I was so excited, and it was really great to be able to share that with him here.
Yeah, I cannot imagine that moment. Like quite literally just watching the TV. You have no clue. And then not only do you get drafted, you get drafted by the freaking Chicago team that puts you right in. Oh my God. Congratulations. That is awesome. That's one of those sports stories that like, you just love sports because of stuff like that. That's so great. So I'll let you go in a second because I have already kept you for half an hour, but your first season back with the AUSL, now that they are the AUSL, what are you excited for? What is the one thing that you cannot wait for?
Ooh, one thing I'm so excited about. So
you're like everything. What do you mean?
Yeah. Man, that's tough. I think I'm most excited to play in Chicago now that I live in Chicago full time. So I have a lot of connections and friends here who have been so supportive already. And like a lot of my coworkers at work want to come watch games. So I think just like being able to have that full, I don't know, it's just like all these pieces in my life connecting in this way this summer. I'm so excited about that. And then just also really excited for like the AUSL. I think like from the outside looking in the past few years, I've followed obviously Athletes Unlimited and the AUSL last year, and just like really excited for what has been put together in that league and the professionalism of it. And excited for that opportunity in general.
Well, I'm excited to watch you. I will be in Chicago quite a bit this summer, so we'll have to link up. But everything that you talked about today, I think is very important for young women in sports to hear. And if you're a listener, if you got anything from this, please pick up that you never give up on yourself. You push and you keep betting on yourself, and eventually things fall into place. But don't let anything stop you. You were a joy. Thank you so much for joining me today. You guys make sure you subscribe. We'll be back with another episode next week.
Thanks, Abby.